discuss what is waste management and which kind of process are involved in solid waste management. That are different type of methods and techniques are used to manage the solid waste. As we already discussed in our previous class, that what is solid waste management and what kind of waste are included in solid management, solid waste. So here we had discussed that different type of garbage like hospital waste, like e-waste, etc. type, and household waste. These are the simple but sometimes toxic and very dangerous. Like household waste. In the household waste, we it include the spoiled food as a toxic agent, and another e-waste is very harmful and very hazardous for environment. So these wastes are very essential to manage it. It is very essential to manage the solid waste. So how can we manage the solid waste? Here are some techniques I am going to discuss. First, this is the steps. First of all, I am going to present here the steps which had already discussed in our previous class. Now we are discussing here two methods of its disposal. First method included dumping process, then controlled tipping of sanitary landfills, incineration, composting, and manure pits. What is dumping? So we will going to discuss here what is dumping. Dumping means whenever the waste are collected and transferred from the out of the city, and then it will dump out in outside land. Then the waste become managed. The solid waste become managed, and gradually the dumps become converted into a simple land, plain land, which can be after further some time, which can be used for normal city area and house residential, to develop the residential area, to develop the industrial area after the planing of the dump waste. That is a very old and very prevalent technique by which the solid waste can be managed. So what is we are discussing here? What kind of waste are used in dumping? All waste, like hospital waste, used in dumping, and some toxic elements which waste are included in when it is dumping, and it is very harmful. Organic type of waste can be used in dumping process. These are the solid waste. Solid waste include what kind of things are included in solid waste: domestic and household waste, and industrial waste, and institutional waste, and hospital waste, hotel, restaurant, food outlets, releases waste, and toilet and kitchen and academic institution, offices, etc. releases waste. Then agriculture waste, according to nature, we have to already discuss the organic waste, inorganic waste, and combined waste. We have to categorize it. And then dry waste, then sanitary waste, then hazardous household waste, and e-waste. E-waste, which refers to all kinds of electro substances. Electronic substances are included in e-waste. And then inert waste. Inert waste are solid or as waste or that ones disposed, deposited in the landfill. So this type of waste are included in the dumping process. Deposited in landfill do not undergo significant physical, chemical and biochemical transformation, because these are not undergoes in the biological transformation. That is why these waste are in uses in the dumping process and dump out of the city in imbalanced lands to plane it. Then further, gradually it uses for the land. Then for residential, etc. So these are the dumping process. Some non-hazardous waste can be used in recycle process, which I will discuss further. And some biodegradable waste. These waste are also used in recycling process. So what is waste management? That is I had discussed here. This is your content, which I will deposit. I will upload in our university website after some improvement here. I have developed it for your concern after class. It is one of the notes of this unit. So this will be helpful for your question answering help. So this is the content which I will give you in our university website. So what is waste management? We will continue here. I will discuss here the solid waste management, the process of solid management. Before dealing with the solid waste management, we have to clear-cut idea about what kind of waste are included and what kind of waste are going in what type of technique. The technique of waste management depends upon the type of or kind of waste. So which kind of waste are uses in dumping? We have discussed here, and now here your content I have defined. The waste management includes the activity or action required to manage waste from its inception to its final disposal. That is waste management. This includes the collection, transport, treatment and disposal of waste together with monitoring and regulation of the waste management process. And the following processes are involved, as we already discussed: the collection of waste, transportation, proper disposal or recycle or reutilize. So method of disposal, as we already discussed, the dumping process. Although there are many methods available to dispose of waste, some methods we have going to discuss here for your as your course content. Landfill or dumping is the same process. Landfill, what is landfill? Throwing daily waste, garbage in the landfills is the most popularly used method, as we already discussed, and the waste disposal used today by this method is very prevalent method, है ना? So this process of waste disposal focus on the attention, focus and attention on burying, burying the waste in the land. Burying means filling. And then landfills are commonly found the developing countries, not in developed countries. It's more prevalent in developing countries. There is a process used that the elimination of odor and dangerous of waste before it is placed into the ground. So some process are necessary before filling it in a bowls for dumping it. So what kind of process used to eliminate the odor and dangerous substances from the waste which are going to dump out and landfill? Well, it is true this is the most popular form of waste disposal. It is certainly far from the only procedure and one that may also bring with it an assortment of space. And the assortment of the space, after some time, it become a plain land and used for industrial area and residential area by the municipality, by the landmaker, landowners, etc. They utilize this land which are unbalanced and some hills and some dumps and type of land are generally we can see in our out of our cities, which gradually land fills by these waste, and after some time it becomes a plain land. After some processing and roller moving from this land, this become a plain land and used for as a space to enhance the area of city. The enhancement of area of city can be possible when the plain land available and the land hill type of and dump type of land cannot be used for the city area enhancement. So dumping is very popular in developing countries for waste management or landfill. It is also called landfills. This method is becoming less these days, although thanks to the lack of space available and the strong presence of methane and other landfill gases, both of which can cause numerous contamination problems. This is the drawback of this method. It is a harmful it is very drawback of this method. It is harmful, poisonous, and methane gas are releases in this when the garbage and the waste uses for the landfill. That is very dangerous. Landfills gives rise the air and water pollution. Gradually it's fill up, but when the dumping is started, when the landfill is started by the waste, it is open for all. Those people which are stay and living near about this dumping area, this land area, they are very prone for various type of infectious diseases because the waste which are used in landfill are there. So it is very harmful when for the people who are living near about these type of land which are going to fill and which are going to use for dumping waste. So landfill can rise the air and water pollution, which severely affects the environment and can prove fatal to the life of human and animal. many areas are reconsidering the use of landfill. So now we are moving in our next method. Here we are discussing. The next method are, first method are dumping, then second method of control tipping or sanitary landfill that we have already discussed. Now we are going to discuss incineration. Incineration is a process by which we have used very high temperature treatment for with the waste and garbage. So I am here discussing the incineration, and this incineration method is also called combustion. Combustion. So what is combustion? What is incineration? Incineration is a type of disposal method in which municipal solid waste are burned at high temperature, so as far as to convert them into residue and gaseous product. The biggest advantage of this type of method is that it can reduce the volume of solid waste to 20 to 30% of the original volume and decrease the space they take up and reduce the stress on landfill. So what is the statement? It says, my statement says that when the solid waste are collected to burn out, it taking some space, not very large area, but after the collection, when it is treated with ignite temperature, then it burn out, and then after they produce ash in very small amount. It is estimated that it has 20 to 30% of the original volume. Means whenever the 100 kilos waste there, then after burning it reduces and remains as a residue 20 to 30 grams of waste. So this method is very advantageous, not disadvantageous as like landfill. As we discussed that landfill are very harmful technique when it is not careful, when it has not carefully applied. So the very carefulness should be maintained in the landfill process. At the same time, when the incineration method are applied, then it takes very small area, but it has also some disadvantages also. Most of the time it is the biggest advantage, because the incineration process, incineration is a process which provide us very important type of energy, forms of energy. So it is not very disadvantageous, but it is advantageous most. So this process is also known as thermal treatment, where solid waste material, because of temperature treatment, it is called thermal treatment also. So in this process, solid waste material are converted by incinerators into heat, gas, steam, and ash. Ash are very useful and provide mineral to our soils, and very useful for the farmers, because different type of minerals form are present in ash and enrich the soil. these minerals are moving by the plants in your crops and rich them in minerals. So the incineration is more advantageous than the landfill process, we can say it, and dumping process. So most of the time incineration is used, but because of it produces, when it is burn out, it produces very harmful gas and very infectious agent on the surrounding. So very carefully it should be burned out. It required also out of the city area to burn out it, because near area and the person who are living in the city are not affected after carefully applied this process. Now we are going to discuss the recovery and recycling process. This is very important process. Sometimes the dilution method is also used in ancient time. This is a traditional technique, but nowadays it becomes stopped because our river and most of the water sources are become contaminated with the dilution process. So the dilution process are eliminated from the methods of waste disposal method nowadays. Now we are going to discuss here the next process, that is here continuous recovery or recycling. What is recovery and recycling? Some waste which are not toxic in nature and can be used, especially organic waste can be used for recovery and recycling. So as you already know and very familiar about the organic waste decomposed manures, we are very familiar because it is very more prevalent and applied in agriculture. So decomposed manure formation by the organic waste is a common process. Now we are going to discuss what is recovery. So resource recovery. Resource recovery is the process of taking useful discarded items for a specific next use. And these discarded items are then processed to extract or recover materials and resources, or convert them to energy in the form of usable heat, electricity, or fuel. Usable heat, electricity can be formed by these type of resources called recovery. So sometimes, as we already know that textile waste, which are comes from boutique and tailoring areas. So these can be reutilized and reused in the formation of various type of man-made fibers, because they are completely collected and completely going in textile process, fiber making process, in ignite temperature and make a waste formation, then it used for the long fiber formation. Some type of cellulose, viscous cellulose type of linen formation. Linen fiber can be formed by this kind of waste, and other in linen not. It is linen is a natural fiber, but some rayon type of and other type of fiber can be made. Man-made artificial fiber can be made by this kind of textile waste. It is also one of the form of reuse and recycle. And some reuse we had already observed in our visit in area of sugar industry, that they are used as a fuel. So here the process resource or resource we use can be provide us different type of fuel, different of important element like fuel, heat, electricity, etc. Now recycling, we are talking about the recycling as we discussed in the as an example of textile boutiques waste. So here in detail we can say that recycling is the process of converting waste products into new products to prevent energy usage and consumption of fresh raw materials. The energy usage in consumption of fresh raw material becomes safe when we recycle the when we converting waste product in the new product. Recycling is the third component of residue, reuse and recycle. Waste hurricane. In waste hurricane, when we see in waste hurricane include reduce, reuse and recycle. Reduce means waste already, the technique used to reduce waste, very low amount of waste. It can be possible by the technique of various kind of packaging material like ice cream cone, which is already made by the biscuit type of it can also be consumed. So packets are not used. It's ice cream. Ice cream are packed in biscuit cones. Then biscuit can also consume and ice cream can also consume. There is no need of any packaging material. This and a very small and organic type of very packaging paper packaging material is used here, not very polythene and this type of method. So it is the technique by reduce our waste already. पहले से ही reduce करना है. Then reuse. Then waste is when waste is releases, then it reuse as manure formation by the decomposition of the organic, or the textile waste can be used in the formation of woolen woolen waste can be used in the formation of man-made fiber, and by man-made fiber various type of curtain clothes and it's called appearing material cannot be possible, but the household clothes making can be possible by this recycling method, reuse method. Then recycling waste is the third category of the waste hurricane. Waste hurricane means sequence. First is reduce and reuse. Then third is recycle, which is I'm going here to I'm here discussing. And now the idea behind the recycling, what kind of idea used to recycling is to reduce energy usage, reduce volume of landfills, reduce air and water pollution, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and preserve natural resources for future use. These are the advantages of this process. So we have to return it and the side heading what kind of advantage or this of recycle. That this is the use of advantage of recycle, which is reduce energy usage, reduce volume of landfill. वॉल्यूम ऑफ लैंडफिल तो तब होगा ना जब बहुत सारा उसमें वेस्ट भरेगा. सो देयर इज नो various type of waste are required. It recycle. When the waste are releases, it become recycled. When the waste are releases, it become recycled. Then gradually, then sequentially it become reuses. There is no waiting for the landfills type of any type of process. So it is reduce the volume of landfill, reduce air, water pollution, etc. can be prevented. So this is the advantage of recycle method. Now this is the new technique, that is plasma gasification. Plasma gasification is a new technique, advanced technique of solid waste management. You have to write this method on advanced technique of solid waste management. So what is plasma gasification? Plasma gasification is another form of waste management in which plasma is primary or electrically charged or highly ionized gas. What is plasma? Plasma is a primarily an electrically charged or on highly ionized gas. Lighting in one type of plasma which produced temperature that exceeded 12,600 degrees Fahrenheit. It is ignite temperature. With this method of waste disposal, a vessel uses characteristics plasma batches operating at 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is creating gasification zone till 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Gradually lower down, and then the conversion of solid or liquid waste into sine gases. This is very costly technique by using the plasma to provide ignite temperature for the waste, all type of waste. It includes liquid waste also. This is the technique of all type of waste management. So all the solid waste or liquid waste are converted into sine gas. That is why the process is called plasma gasification, because it produces sine gas. So during the treatment of solid waste by plasma gasification, the waste molecular bonds are broken down. What the process takes place? In that process, takes place. The waste molecular bonds are broken down as a result of the intense heat. High heat can change the molecular bond and broken down. Waste molecular bonds are broken down because of ignite temperature treatment. So intense heat, this event takes place. What event takes place? The waste molecular bonds are broken down as a result of intense heat in the vessels and the elemental components. So thanks to this process, because destruction of waste and dangerous material is found, in this form the waste disposal provided. All the type of waste can be easily disposed out by this method. Either they are toxic or they are non-toxic, can easily become destructed in this process and change into syngases. Now we are going to discuss here the composting method. As we can say, it can be reused. So composting method. What is composting method? Composting method means composting is an easy and natural biodegradation process. Natural, why it is says in here the natural process. Composting is an easy and natural biodegradation process that takes place with the organic waste, that is remains the plant, garden and kitchen waste turns into kitchen waste means the vegetable peels, the vegetable discard, fruit peels, discarded part of the food, spoiled food, etc., and turns into nutrient-rich food for our plant. When these organic material are decomposed and produces very good manure, which enrich the soil, and the soil provided the element to the plant, and we can consume the plant in the form of vegetable, in the form of fruits, then we can intake the nutrients. So this is the recycle and reuse method, you can say. The composting normally uses for organic farming. Organic farming is very popular farming, and it produces organic foods which are free from very dangerous and harmful chemical manure. So, and insecticide and pesticide also cannot be used here. Only organic material are used for the farming. That is called organic farming. So the composting method by the waste can be farming, but all the process are very all the process require very careful application of these, because waste are already very harmful when it is unprocessed. So organic farming occurs by allowing organic materials to sit in one place for months until months and जब तक microbes उसमें develop नहीं होते. This is natural process, because we are simply collect the waste and collect the waste. After sometimes it becomes decomposed because of the development of the microbes, decomposing microbes, and composting in one of the best method of the waste disposal. It can be turned unsafe organic products into safe compost. On this other side, it is slow process, very slow process, and takes a lot of spaces and very precautions, because it is open for decomposition. So it will require very precautions. So waste, next process is waste to energy, recover the energy. How can they recover the energy, and how can the waste provide energy? It can. We will discuss it in our next class. And our next class we have discussed in manure pit. We will discuss manure pit, burial method also, and then what is sewage as a solid. We will discuss in our next class. Then we will discuss very modern techniques of decomposition and very modern techniques of decomposition of the organic matter. Very advanced technique of liquid waste management, liquid waste management in filtration and non-filtration or aerobic methods and anaerobic methods, etc. We will discuss in our next class. So goodbye all the students. Stay home and safe. Thank you so much.